The light is fading. Time is slowly slipping through our hands. Winter is knocking at our door, and sooner or later, it will be upon us. If you are new to the channel, hi, I'm Antonella, and today we're gonna talk books, especially books that had a huge impact on my life choices in the last few years. Since we bought this cabin, my life has changed completely. To live in the middle of nowhere gives you the opportunity to reflect on things that sometimes just slip through our attention when we live in a city. The scent of wet leaves and falling pine cones surround us, making a clear statement on the current season. As autumn slowly makes room for snow, these days are getting shorter. Darkness comes quickly and never truly leaves the forest. It's a perfect time to sit comfortably on the couch and dive into a nice book. In the last few years, there have been a couple of books that changed my perspective on life, all for different reasons and in different fields. Today I will talk about 3 of these books and explain how they made a huge difference in my path. If I would categorize them, I'd say 1 for the body, 1 for the mind, and 1 for the spirit, or for the heart if you prefer. They all affected deeply my way of looking at life, and maybe they can help you too to broaden your vision on things. I will start with a book that concerns mostly the body, and then we'll climb up to what for me sits on number 1. So let's get going. Number 3. The Oxygen Advantage by Patrick McKeown. Simple, scientifically proven breathing techniques to help you become healthier, slimmer, faster, and fitter. I guess by the description of the subtitle, it's quite obvious why it sits in the body or health section of today's videos. I've been meditating and doing endurance sports all my life, and I can attest on how helpful it is to understand how to breathe correctly. But it's not only for who is involved in sports, it's for everyone. To understand how we breathe and how to do it better is life-changing. When I moved to the mountains at the beginning, I was always suffering with headaches because of the altitude and the lack of oxygen. Then I got used to it and I implemented my breathing with specific exercises that really made a difference. Today when I go roaming in the forest or hike in the mountains, I'm usually the one that's not winded up. Even when I meditate, I pay close attention on how I breathe, and it's a useful tool. As it says in the cover, it even helps slimming down, improves your health by strengthening the immune system with an extra boost of oxygen, and in the long time is truly beneficial all around. If you live in a city or work in a crowded place, to relearn to breathe with your nose really helps. Improves the quality of air you pour down your lungs and makes you more aware on how you function. The nose is a natural filter for dust, dirt, and nasty toxic particles that floats in the air. The techniques explained in the book are proven to work especially well with those affected with breathing issues like allergy and asthma. I found it critically useful. I've learned in the last few years to make sure I have some time in every week to read some non-fictional book. It helps with the mind, and it gets you in touch with other people's thoughts. It's like building a super brain by putting together bricks of 1,000 different shapes and sizes. Book number 2, Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport. Choosing a focused life in a noisy world. I say this is my Bible when I'm going through my everyday life. In Digital Minimalism, Cal Newport uncovers a few lies we like to tell ourselves on how much and how we use technology, and explains why our culture tried to force on us the abuse of social media and digital distractions. He explains how you can transform your tech habits by adopting digital minimalism, which aims to maximize the benefit of technology and avoid the pitfalls. It helps identify your values and determine how to use technology to support them. The book then examines how tech companies use human psychology to make their apps addictive, how likes and comments are awakening a relationship with others, and why trading maybe your smartphone for that one could change your life. It even suggests how to do a 30-day digital detox that can reshape our understanding of digital devices. It sounds more drastic than it is. His suggestions are totally doable, and it's more a book to let you make an informed choice rather than telling you what is right or what is wrong. He's a computer science teacher, so he knows what he's talking about. Newport also pushes farther the rule of a deep life, where everything you do has to be meaningful and deliberate. If you set a task, you need to give it undivided attention, even if you're washing the dishes or walking the dog. Boredom is the crib of creativity. If you allow yourself some undisturbed time with just your mind and no other inputs, amazing mechanism sets himself in motion. This book changed my approach on the use of technology and how I make my life more productive, and it's all science-based. Newport also has a podcast that I found really helpful in pointing out the way for a more focused life with a really light and sometimes funny approach. I'll strongly suggest you to check it out, and I'll try to leave the link in the description. Last but absolutely my number one choice is Essentialism, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less by Greg McKeown. This sits well in spirit or hearth category. Non-essentialist gets excited by virtually everything and thus react to everything. But because they are so busy pursuing every opportunity and every idea, they actually explore less. Have you ever found yourself stretched too thin? Do you sometimes feel overworked and underutilized? Do you feel emotional sickness instead of momentum? Does your day sometimes get hijacked by someone else's agenda? Have you ever said yes simply to please and then resented it? If you answered yes to any of these, the way out is the way of the essentialist. It involves doing less but better so you can make the highest possible contribution. The way of the essentialist isn't about getting more done in less time. It's not about getting less done. It's about getting the right things done. It's about challenging the core assumption of we can have it all and I have to do everything, and replacing with the pursuit of the right thing, in the right way, at the right time. It's about regaining control of our own choices, about where to spend our time and energies instead of giving others implicit permission to choose for us. It helped me clarify what were my priorities, gave me permission to say no to people or things that were not truly essential for growth or for my well-being. It has nothing to do with minimalism as a way of structuring your environment. It's about mindset and the way you pursue things in your everyday life. Somehow all the things he points out are already part of how we function, but we tend to suppress them. Maybe we worry that if we say no to people, they will stop liking us, so we tend to simply say yes all the time. But saying no makes you more valuable, because behind that no, there is a clear choice. These three books combined have been a turning point for me in a process of focusing more on the things that mattered. But of course, they're not the only meaningful books I've read. Maybe in the future we will cover some other topics, so do let me know in the comments if anything really grabs your curiosity. As an extra, I will add a book which I think can truly change your look at the world. This book somehow can make you more aware on how deeply we leave a footprint on this earth. It's actually a science book, but it really touches the soul. It's called Silent Spring by Rachel Carson, and it was written in 1962. Carson was a biologist and a conservationist and wrote about the damage we brought upon ourselves by spreading toxic substances and pollutants in the air and in the soil. How we mistreated this planet we call home. Half a century later, the book is still on point. She points out our constant will to dominate the environment. She wrote, "Man is a part of nature, and his war against nature is inevitably a war against himself." When I first read it, I was petrified. She imagined a world without spring. She makes a long depiction of it in the first chapter of the book, and it seemed like a vision of what we're experiencing nowadays. But it was written 70 years ago. It deeply affected me and has been in my life for a long time, but I often go back to it, especially the first chapter and her vision, just to remind myself that we should really tread lightly on this planet, because the damage we are making cannot be undone. I hope you will find my suggestion helpful, and since reading is really a love of mine, it was a great pleasure to share my insights with you. And I love to hear your opinions on the subject, so feel free to leave a comment. As usual, thanks for watching, and until next time, take care. Ciao!